A man changes his Wi-Fi password, and his neighbor calls 911 on him. But when the cops arrive, they uncover something far more disturbing. Darius Coleman wasn't the kind of man who liked unnecessary attention. He worked from home, kept his yard neat, and only ever spoke to his neighbors when necessary. For the most part, people left him alone, which was exactly how he liked it, that was, until one simple decision put him under a microscope. It all started on a Thursday afternoon in Crestwood, Missouri. Darius had just wrapped up a long morning of work and decided to take a break by checking his internet speed. Lately, his Wi-Fi had been acting up slower than usual, buffering on video calls, lagging when he streamed music. At first, he thought it was just his provider being unreliable, but something didn't sit right with him. So he dug a little deeper, opening up his router settings on his phone. He noticed a device connected to his network that didn't recognize the name. Wasn't just random numbers and letters. It looked like someone had intentionally labeled it Crestwood, I01. That was weird. Darius lived alone. He didn't have multiple devices connected to his Wi-Fi. Beyond his phone, laptop, and TV, he wasn't the type to lend out his password either. So who was using his internet? Annoyed, he decided to kick every unknown device off the network and reset his password. He stepped outside for a stronger signal, leaning against the side of his house while typing in the new credentials. And that's when Melanie Foster saw him from her kitchen window. She spotted Darius standing in his driveway, staring at his phone, his fingers moving quickly across the screen to her. It looked suspicious. She had never trusted him, not for any real reason, but because he never seemed interested in being part of the neighborhood. He didn't come to block parties. He barely spoke to anyone. And now here he was standing outside messing with something on his phone. Her mind jumped to the worst conclusion: he was hacking. She didn't know what or why, but she felt it in her gut. Something wasn't right before she could talk herself out of it. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911. "Yes, I need to report something suspicious. My neighbor, he's outside doing something with his phone. I don't know what it is, but it looks off. Can you send someone to check it out?" The dispatcher asked a few questions, but Melanie didn't have real answers. She just kept repeating the same thing. "He's up to something. I just know it. The police were on their way, and Darius, he had no idea his quiet afternoon was about to turn into a full-blown investigation. But what neither of them knew was that the real danger had nothing to do with Darius at all. Darius had just finished updating his Wi-Fi password when he heard the sirens. At first, he barely paid attention. Maybe they were headed somewhere else, but then he saw the squad car slow down and stop right in front of his house. 2 officers stepped out. One was a tall, broad-shouldered man with sharp features, Detective Lewis Nah. His partner, Officer Belle Carter, had a more compact frame, but carried herself with a quiet authority. Darius let out a slow breath. Here we go. He didn't move from his spot as the officers approached. Navarro's hand rested near his belt. Not on his gun, but close enough to send a message. Sir Navarro called out, voice steady. "We got a call about some suspicious activity. Telling us what you're doing." Darius frowned, glancing between the officer's suspicious activity. He was standing in his own driveway. "I'm changing my Wi-Fi password." His tone carried a hint of confusion, but he kept his voice calm. He knew how these things could escalate. Navarro exchanged a quick glance with Carter before looking back at Darius. "Do you live here?" Darius almost laughed. What kind of question was that his car was in the driveway? His name was on the mailbox. "Yeah," he said, crossing his arms. "I've lived here for 3 years." Before Navarro could respond, a voice cut through the air. "He's lying." Darius turned, and there she was. Melanie Foster, standing on her porch, arms folded, watching everything like she was the neighborhood security guard. "He's always outside doing something." She continued messing with his phone, looking around like he's watching people. "Now, he's out here standing in the same spot for 10 minutes, just tapping away." Darius couldn't believe it was she. Serious. "I was on my router settings," he said flatly, "because someone I don't know has been using my Wi-Fi." Melanie scoffed. "Oh, sure, and I'm supposed to believe that." Navarro turned to her. "Ma'am, do Do you have any evidence that Mr. Coleman has done something illegal? Melanie hesitated because of course she didn't. She just had a bad feeling. I don't know, she admitted. I just think you should check. Navarro exhaled, his patience thinning. He turned back to Darius. So would you mind if we take a quick look at your router settings just to clear this up? Darius clenched his jaw. He shouldn't have to prove anything, but he also knew how these situations could spiral out of control. Fine, he muttered, unlocking his phone and pulling up the settings. Here, take a look. Navarro leaned in eyes, scanning the list of connected devices. And that's when his expression changed, because there it was Crestwood. I-01 who owns that device? Navarro asked. Darius shook his head. Not me, officer. Carter stepped in, eyebrows raised, so someone's been using your Wi-Fi without permission. Darius nodded, and I don't think they were just stealing internet. Look at the connection logs it's been running. Non-stop someone's been watching Navarro. Posture shifted. This wasn't just a petty neighbor dispute anymore. Melanie, still standing on her porch, suddenly looked uncomfortable. Wait, what do you mean? Watching Darius turn to her eyes, cold. I mean, someone has been spying, and they might be watching all of us. But the real question was, whose silence settled over the front yard? The weight of Darius's words hung in the air. Melanie, who had been so sure she was the one in the right, suddenly looked uneasy. Spying, that wasn't what she expected to hear. Navarro straightened up all right. He said, voice more serious. Now let him get inside. I want to see exactly what we're dealing with. Darius didn't argue. He led the officers into his house, his frustration simmering just below the surface. He hadn't done anything wrong yet. Here he was being treated like a suspect in his own home. Melanie hesitated before following. She wasn't sure why, but something told her she needed to hear this once. Inside, Darius placed his phone on the dining table and mirrored the router settings onto his laptop screen. The device list appeared there. It was again. Crestwood I-01 still connected. Still active. Officer Carter leaned in, scanning the details. Can you see what kind of device this is? Darius clicked around his fingers, moving fast. I can't tell exactly, but he opened the activity logs and froze. Navarro noticed the shift in his face. What is it? Darius's throat went dry. It's been accessing camera feeds. The room went dead quiet. Melanie blinked. I don't understand what camera feeds. Darius's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Mine. He turned the laptop around my home security cameras. Someone's been logging in and watching my live feeds. Carter's expression tightened. You're saying someone's been spying on you through your own security system? Darius exhaled sharply. That's exactly what I'm saying. But as he continued scrolling, his stomach dropped. It wasn't just his cameras. His system had flagged multiple IP addresses. Some belonged to his own network, but others were coming from different homes. This is bad, Darius muttered. Navarro leaned in. What do you mean? Darius tapped the screen. Whoever's behind this, they're not just watching me. They're watching other people in the neighborhood. Melanie took a shaky step back. No, that can't be right. Darius turned to her. You sure about that? He clicked into another log. A new feed opened, first a hallway, then a living room, then a bedroom. Melanie gasped. Wait, that's... She didn't need to finish. Darius recognized it instantly. It was her house. She stumbled back, covering her mouth with her hand. Navarro's tone sharpened. How the hell is this happening? Darius clenched his jaw. If I had to guess, someone around here set up a fake Wi-Fi network. It looks like a normal connection, so people connect without thinking. And once they do, their devices get compromised. Carter's expression darkened. You mean a man-in-the-middle attack? Darius nodded. Exactly. Melanie's voice trembled. So someone's been watching me? My family? Darius met her eyes. That's exactly what I'm saying. She collapsed into a chair, hands trembling. Oh my God. Navarro's jaw tightened. We need to find out who's behind this, fast. But what none of them realized was just how close the culprit really was. Without wasting time, Navarro pulled out his radio. We need cybercrime support on this, he told Carter. If someone's running surveillance like this, it's not just invasion of privacy, it's a felony. Carter nodded. And if we don't stop them now, who knows what they've already done? Still seated at his laptop, Darius was digging deeper. He wasn't a hacker, but he knew enough about networks to trace where the data was going. He opened the logs, then froze. "This doesn't make sense," he said. Navarro looked up. "What is it?" Darius turned the screen toward them. "The data isn't going to some remote server. It's going to an address right here in the neighborhood." Melanie's eyes widened. "You mean someone nearby?" Darius nodded. "Just a few houses down." Navarro leaned in. "Can you tell which one exactly?" Darius worked quickly, matching timestamps and signal strengths. Within minutes he had a result. His stomach twisted. He recognized the address, and so did Melanie. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. Darius's voice turned cold. "It's Brandon's house. Brandon Foster, Melanie's 22-year-old nephew, a quiet college student who had been living with her for months, always on his computer, kept to himself. Suddenly, everything started to click. Melanie went pale. "No, that doesn't make sense. Brandon wouldn't—" Carter interrupted. "We need to talk to him. Now." Melanie hesitated. Part of her didn't want to believe it, but deep down, something in her gut said otherwise. "I'll take you," she said quietly. Darius stood up. "I'm coming too." Navarro stopped him. "Number you, stay here. Let us handle it." Darius clenched his jaw, frustrated, but he nodded. "Fine, but get the truth out of him." The truth, though, was worse than they expected. Melanie led Navarro and Carter down the street. Every step felt heavier. Brandon, the boy she'd supported through school, the one she took in like a son. It couldn't be him. But a voice in her head whispered, "What if it is?" At the door, she called out, "Brandon, can you come downstairs for a minute?" No response. Navarro exchanged a look with Carter, then stepped inside. "We're going up." Melanie didn't argue. She just hugged herself, heart racing. They reached Brandon's bedroom. It was silent. Navarro knocked, firm. "Brandon, this is the police. We need to talk." Still nothing. Then the faint sound of movement, a chair scraping, footsteps. Carter's hand hovered near her weapon. "Open the door." Slowly, the doorknob turned. The door creaked open to reveal Brandon Foster. He looked startled, nervous. His eyes flicked between Navarro, Carter, and his aunt. His hands fidgeted at his sides. "What's going on?" he asked, voice tight. Navarro didn't blink. "We have reason to believe you've been accessing private security cameras in this neighborhood. Want to explain that?" Brandon's expression barely changed, but his fingers twitched like he was holding something invisible. "That's insane," he said with a scoff. "I don't know what you're talking about." Carter wasn't convinced. "Mind if we check your laptop?" His jaw clenched. "You don't have a warrant." Navarro stepped closer. "We can get one. But right now we're giving you a chance to be honest before this gets worse." There was a tense pause. Then Brandon exhaled. "Look, He ran a hand through his hair. "I wasn't doing anything serious, okay? Navarro cut him off. "Then why is your IP address linked to a breach involving multiple homes?" Brandon froze. Melanie's voice cracked. "Brandon, please tell me this isn't true." His eyes shifted to her, and for the first time, his guard slipped. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said quietly. "It started as a joke. I just wanted to see if I could get into someone's Wi-Fi, just mess around." Navarro's tone hardened. "So you admit you broke into the network?" Brandon hesitated, then nodded. Melanie's breath caught. He continued, his words coming faster now. "It was supposed to be harmless, but then I saw people's security feeds and I got curious." Carter frowned. Curious or obsessed? He didn't answer. Navarro's patience was gone. "How many homes have you watched?" Silence, then a low voice. "I don't know." Melanie stepped back in horror. "Oh my God!" Brandon looked at her, guilt finally showing on his face. "I swear I wasn't trying to hurt anyone, Navarro didn't let him finish. "Brandon Foster, you're under arrest for unauthorized access of a computer network and unlawful surveillance." Brandon turned pale. Wait, no, But Carter was already cuffing him. Melanie turned away, tears filling her eyes. Darius had been right all along, and she had accused him, while the real threat had been living under her roof. But it wasn't over yet. Brandon didn't resist. He stood quietly, wrists bound, eyes on the floor as Navarro read him his rights. It was done. Melanie's breathing was shaky. She couldn't even look at Brandon. This was the boy she had raised, supported, trusted, and he had violated everyone's privacy. As Navarro led Brandon toward the door, he paused when he saw Darius standing on the sidewalk. "You were right," Navarro said. "If you hadn't caught this, we wouldn't have known." Darius was quiet at first, eyes shifting from Brandon to Melanie. Then he spoke. "You know what's wild?